It's Blue-Red Gift Storm. It's ad nauseum. These players 10 and 2, very much in top 8 contention here in Derby City, Louisville, Kentucky. Players will be given the green light. We'll see if Scott actually has a ley line to kick things off with, and he does have 2. And Caleb is going to try to play through it. Okie dokie. Maybe Scott's hand isn't very good otherwise. Who knows? Here's a Temple of Enlightenment. One of my favorite parts about this ad nauseum deck is it's one of the few decks in modern and older formats in general that actually is able to make use of the temples.
Yes. Not really doing very much with its mana over the course of the game. And when you have Lotus Bloom in your deck, you're targeting turn 4, typically as your turn. So you can play, you know, a temple here, a temple there, play a Pentap Prism, and you're good to go, and you smooth out your draw a little bit along the way.
Time for beatdowns, baby.
Yeah.
Goblin Electromancer. Grape Shot not going to get the job done, so let's do it this way.
No wonder he played through.
It's a Hallowed Fountain tap there for Hunt as Lotus Bloom is going to fall down to 2 suspend counters. Electromancer in for 2. Caleb playing Island past the turn back. Hunt's Lotus Bloom will fall down to 1 counter. He's picked up another copy of Leyline. And you know what? If you're Caleb, you might just say to yourself, look, maybe his draw falls apart and I can get really lucky. And it would take a lot of luck, because I think this is a Phyrexian Unlife. He's not going to get lucky. He's not.
I was hoping it was a Simian Spirit Guide, which would also not be beatable in this spot.
Scott's going to fall down to 16. Caleb's got a handful of cards, but none of them matter, as Lotus Bloom is going to come off a suspend. That will resolve. Now Scott will draw a card. He's got ad nauseum in his hand already. And so as long as he doesn't overthink things, he should be clear for takeoff. Now he's going to start with a Serum Vision, so he'll draw a card. And one of the things that Scott can actually do here, Patrick, because he's under no duress and he's got 2 ley lines, is he can really take his sweet time here and say, you know what, I'm not going to lose to Remand.
Just say go.
And I'm just going to set up ad nauseum that way and make sure I don't lose to any nonsense. Which I think might be the best course of action here. Well, it looks like he's going to go for it instead. Maybe he's found a Pact Negation, perhaps. Either way, he's going to play ad nauseum right now. Ad nauseum is going to allow Scott to draw his entire deck. Caleb says, can I just take a look real quick to see what you got in there? And we're happy to tell you what's in there. I know, Patrick, you got the deck list in front of you. What's the kill here? Is it Lightning Storm or is it a Laboratory Maniac or both?
1 copy of each.
Okay. A couple copies of Pact Negation in the main deck there, of course. 3 of them. You see the main deck ley lines. He's got 4 of those. Caleb's going to see the Mystical Teachings in there for Scott as well. It's a unique take on ad nauseum, but it's one that's going to get the job done here in game number 1. And I'm not sure how Caleb combats this matchup. I mean, you can go towards Empty the Warrens, but I'm not all that excited about that either.
No, you know, that seems like low odds also for a lot of the same reasons.
So this is what makes Modern a little bit interesting to me, at least. So you take a look at the last time we watched Caleb 2 rounds ago. What did he get paired against? Living End. About as good as it gets for his deck. Now what's he paired against? Ad nauseum, maybe about as bad as it gets for his deck.
Powerful format with a deep card pool. More and more leads to we're just 2 ships passing in the night.
Yeah. 3 Simian Spirit Guides here. This is Lightning Storm, a card we'll bring up for you for those who have never seen it before.
It's nonsense.
It's very easy to understand. Let's take a look, Patrick, shall we? 1 red. Lightning Storm deals X damage to target creature or player, where X is 3+ number of charge counters on it.
Now, just making sure, so it's an instant that has counters.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Let's keep going, though.
Okay.
Discard a land card. Put 2 charge counters on Lightning Storm. You may choose a new target for it. Any player may play this ability, but only if Lightning Storm is on the stack.
I think that, so we talked yesterday about, you know, 1/3 being a sketchy thing to have appear on a text box.
Not great.
The text box, while this is on the stack,
also not great.
That is Exhibit A in the prosecution against that card.
Not great. What is great is Scott Hunt getting a win there against Caleb Scherer. Ad nauseum very quickly up a game here over Blue-Red Gift Storm. We'll take a look at the sideboards, and we're going to start with Caleb, who's immediately going to the drawing board. You'll see 3 Empty the Warrens, 3 pieces to the puzzle, 3 Lightning Bolt, 2 Shattering Spree, 2 Dismember, a Swan Song, and a Wipe Away. I mean, he's got to go towards the goblins, man, right?
I guess so. And he can, you know, bring in the Swan Song to help push through and disrupt it a little bit. Maybe the anti-artifact stuff. There's occasionally some artifacts that show up in ad nauseum, some mana, sources of mana, but yeah, I guess you're just emptying here. Maybe the Wipe Away, maybe the Swan Song. Light light sideboarding.
Well, for Scott Hunt, game 1 was basically a bye. You saw that. Didn't take him very long to get the job done. We go to his sideboard with 2 Supreme Verdicts, 2 Holy Day, 2 Hurkyl's Recall, 2 Graph Trigger's Cage. Here come the one-ofs in Boseiju, who shelters all. Phyrexian Unlife Disenchant, Pact Negation, Rest in Peace, Path to Exile, and if he's expecting the old goblins, Echoing Truth.
Yeah, Echoing Truth is pretty safe to bring in here as an answer to Empty the Warrens, and also it's just fine, I think, to buy himself a turn against one of the cost-reducing creatures. I would bring in the extra copy of Pact of Negation, most likely. You know, if you really are worried about Empty the Wardens, you could consider Supreme Verdict and Holy Day also, but I think this will also be pretty light on the sideboarding.
Holy Day will be a hoot if that comes up. I think I'll enjoy that.
I'm disappointed by the lack of a Holy Day Darkness split.
The 1/1? Yeah, just to keep him guessing.
Right.
Yeah, I do like that. We'll see Caleb Scherer on the play here in game number 2 in just a moment against Scott Hunt. Very difficult matchup here for Caleb, so we'll see if he can come back here from that loss. Here, Scott's going to move on to 11-2 and what looks to be a good matchup for him. In the meantime, let's talk about that StarCityGames.com YouTube page where we've got a boatload of subscribers, over 125,000. So we want to thank each and every one of you for all the awesome content that we're pumping out there.
Head on over to youtube.com/StarCityGames and subscribe today. There's a lot of great archives up there of Split Second versus Series, Commander versus Magic Online playtesting, Best of SCG Tour, and much more. Again, subscribe today, become one of over 125,000 subscribers over at youtube.com/StarCityGames, and get notified when new content is uploaded to the page.
Caleb Scherer, we've learned so much about him over the course of this weekend. His player slide really should just say Storm Aficionado. That's really it. That's all you really need to know for the 29-year-old from St. Louis, Missouri, with his 4 open top 8s, working his way towards his 5th here this weekend, though he is in a real difficult matchup right now. He's got those 2 invitational top 8s as well. With that win in Las Vegas 2 years ago, 2nd place in the Players' Championship last year, too, before losing to eventual champion Joe Lissette. Big math guy, which makes a lot of sense why you like Storm so much. It is just basically a big math problem, isn't it?
It's a lot of counting. I mean, there's interaction. Your opponent is doing things, and that requires, you know, something outside of just counting up. But yeah, a lot of math.
A lot of math and a really, really good deck, especially in Modern right now. Don't know if it's the best deck. And you know what I'd say? I don't know if there is even a best deck in Modern. I think there are just a lot of good decks. Not sure if there's a best one.
This is the first time I've covered the format since post-Cataxian Probe, where I felt, yeah, if they didn't ban anything, that'd be okay. You know, I've been typically, while I've been covering Modern turns, at least 1 or 2 cards that I've thought, I don't understand why this is allowed to do what it does. But right now, I mean, there's a couple outliers. You know, I don't know long term is giving a free pass to Street Wraith and Simian Spirit Guide necessarily the wisest or sustainable, but whatever. The games seem fine. The decks seem diverse, and ultimately that's what matters.
Well, when we take a look at the Metagame Breakdown, which Nick Miller has placed in front of us, you want to speak about diversity. 47 different archetypes in day number 2. That's why it took him so long.
And Eldrazi Tron, the most played deck in day 2, roughly 12% of the field.
Yeah.
Which is low as far as top decks go.
So
4 different decks with double-digit pilots. I mean, you know, this list, and there's some funny ones among the one-ofs too. So
yeah, you know, there's only one 8-rack player here.
Right.
Maybe that number is on the incline after Tom Ross makes top 8 later this weekend. Tom Ross paired against Jeskai this round for you 8-rack and Tom Ross fans out there. Jeskai, a matchup that Tom feels is pretty good, and we've already seen him beat it once.
In a laugher.
Yeah, not particularly close.
Laugher.
Against Harlan Fear. That kicked off our coverage today. Looks like Scott might be taking a mulligan here. While Caleb is waiting patiently, hoping that things don't get too bad for him. But again, you're playing against a deck that's got 4 main deck copies of Leyline of Sanctity. It's got Angel's Grace to combat the Grape Shot kill. It's got ways to get around Empty the Warrens if he wants to sideboard them in. It's just a very, very difficult spot here for Caleb. And Ad Nauseum's a deck that we've seen win opens before too. Nicholas Bird won a Modern Open with Ad Nauseum within the past year. Top card's going to go to the bottom here for Scott Hunt. No Leyline to start. So for Caleb, he's going to play a Steam Vents untapped. And it'll be a Serum Visions that we kick things off with. So he'll draw a card. Looks like another copy of Strategic Planning. Empty the Warrens in there. And it looks like he's also looking at pieces to the puzzle. But he's going to put Empty on top, pieces to the bottom, and we'll head over to Scott Hunt. Picked up a copy of Peer Through Depths. Hollowed Fountain's going to enter the battlefield untapped. He'll fall down to 18, will our ad nauseam player, and now here's a sleight of hand. Looks like Grafdigger's Cage and a Polluted Delta.
Yeah, one copy of Cage on the board.
Cage does a nice job against the Past in Flames kill. And Cage is the card that Hunt is going to take. And we'll go over to Caleb yet again, who's drawn that Empty the Warrens now. He'll play a sleight of hand. He'll take a look at the top 2 cards on his deck, Steam Vents and Serum Visions. The land is going to go to the hand. The sorcery will go to the bottom. And there's Steam Vents untapped. Caleb's going to fall down to 16. Maybe he's got another cantrip. He does in Serum Visions. So he'll draw a card, picks up a copy of Peak. He'll scry 2. Grape Shot and Goblin Electromancer.
And now we're going to see what the path is here, because if he's really on Empty the Warrens, that to me says you just put Grape Shot on the bottom. Interested to see if Caleb here wants to have that as a backup plan, or maybe as a more efficient kill, or if he's just going to be all in on Empty the Warrens.
Well, it looks like he's going to go top with Electromancer, the first card. And now he'll simply pass the turn back over to Hunt. Hunt will draw a card here. Picked up another blue-white land. He's going to play a white-black land here in Temple of Silence. Seachrome Coast, the white-blue land he picked up for his draw step. The Scry will put the top card to the bottom. And now here is a Grafdigger's Cage, which is going to slow down Caleb's use of the graveyard. Caleb will pick up that Electromancer for the turn. And here's a Shivan Reef. Here is Goblin Electromancer. Caleb's going to take 1 to play a Pyretic Ritual. And now here's Empty the Warrens. And now this is going to be for 6 goblins.
Yeah, at this point, Caleb not really in a position to actually go off. The Grafdigger's Cage makes that too prohibitive. So instead, just a small empty, but enough to clock Hunt over the course of 3 turns.
And you take a look at Hunt's life total here, 18. You take a look at an attack for, would it be 8 next turn?
Yeah,
Bring him down to 10.
And then 8 more, and then if you have the Grape Shot still, then you're 2 turns.
Grape Shot's the top card of his deck.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
It's a plan. We'll see if it's a good one. But it's a plan here from Caleb, which he certainly didn't have in the first game, given those ley lines. So we'll go over to Scott Hunt, who does not have a very fast start this game. Remember, he did take a mulligan.
It is not necessarily a prohibitive drawback to playing the deck, but something noteworthy about ad nauseam is as far as the combo decks go, it is on the slower side. I mean, I've seen games where it just, it takes them until turn 5 or turn 6 to be able to go off, more frequently than some of the other popular combo decks in the format.
Though it is surprisingly resilient, I would say.
Oh, definitely, yeah. You have a lot of, you don't need that many cards. You can win at instant speed.
Take a look here at Scott's hand from the peak. The Seachrome Coast, a Phyrexian Unlife, a Peer Through Depths, an Angel's Grace, and a Disenchant. Maybe a little surprised to see the Disenchant in the deck, but trying to think of the targets it would have.
Pyromancer's Ascension.
That's the first one that came to mind.
If he believes it's there. Random stray sideboard cards. I think Caleb is without targets.
I believe he is without targets as well throughout, I think, the entire 75, honestly. Could be time for strategic planning here for Caleb. It is. So he'll look at the top 3 cards of his deck. He gets to take 1. Others will go into the graveyard. And that is going to resolve. So Caleb will look. Spirebluff Canal, a Pyretic Ritual, and a Baral, Chief of Compliance. Pyretic Ritual will go to the hand. Baral and the land will go to the bin. And strategic planning is all done. Next up for Caleb will be another strategic planning. So top couple. There's an island in there, pieces to the puzzle, some other goodies. And he's found a card that he's happy enough with. Pieces to the puzzle and an island will go to the graveyard. Go to combat. And nothing's going to stay back. So we attack here for 8. Hunt's going to fall down to 10. And Caleb, actually, the card that he took was Wipe Away, which could play a role in things, to be sure. Now for Scott, he'll play that Seachrome Coast. He's going to go towards Phyrexian Unlife, and I think Caleb might actually be able to get this game over with right now. I believe he'll be able to attack for 8, put Hunt down to 2, wipe away the Phyrexian Unlife, and Grape Shot for 2.
Simple.
Yeah. We'll see if Caleb was able to find that line of play here. But here come the Knuckleheads. Scott's going to fall down to 2. Caleb is going to go towards Pyretic Ritual, which will resolve. And he's going to play a Grape Shot, targeting Scott. I actually think this is the better way to do it, because this is actually going to get him to 0. And now here's an uncounterable wipe away.
Right. I think this is, I guess, sharper if, I don't even know.
Packed or something weird. Yeah, something weird shows up that you're not expecting. It's better to get him down to 0 and then wipe away, which cannot be countered given split second. Will take care of the game. So Caleb Scherer is able to tie things up here against Scott Hunt.
Yeah, passive negation is
that can work its way in.
Totally fine.
Yeah,
totally fine justification.
Blue-red Gift Storm ad nauseum getting ready here for game number 3. So Caleb able to go towards the empty plan, which maybe Scott was expecting, maybe he wasn't. But if he wasn't expecting it, he knows about it now. And now, Patrick, my question for you is, do you go to the Supreme Verdicts? Do you go to the Echoing Truth, all that other stuff?
Probably not. I think your basic game plan with the 1 copy of Echoing Truth is, I think that's where I would stay. I think that I would go to Holy Day before I went to Supreme Verdict, to be honest, just out of mana efficiency. The ad nauseum deck has so many lands that enter the battlefield tapped. There's no guarantee that you can even Supreme Verdict on the 4th turn, especially, you're playing with Seachrome Coast too. So I would just try to buy time with Holy Day if I was that worried about it.
Well, those are the options there for both players. Once again, you see they're both going back to the drawing board to touch here. So we'll let them think it through, get ready here for game number 3, and we'll talk about your source for Magic Gathering news. And that's, of course, the StarCityGames.com newsletter. It's free, and it's got a lot of goodies in there.
You can head over to go.starcitygames.com/newsletter and get signed up today. A lot of information about the goings-ons of Star City Games and the SCG Tour, with highlights from some of our best articles, upcoming SCG Tour dates and locations. You can find IQs and game nights near you, exclusive cardboard crack comic, and again, signing up is free over at go.starcitygames.com/newsletter.
Game number 3 going to be underway here shortly between Caleb Scherer and Scott Hunt. We know that Tom Ross playing for top 8 this round against Jeskai. Caleb very much in top 8 contention. We've already got a player here playing Jund that has locked it up. Now these players are playing for a lot here this weekend, so we take a look at the prizes that are available here on the SCG Tour during our open weekends. First place going to get you a cool $5,000, 30 SCG points, an invite to our Season 2 Invitational Weekend at the Berglund Center in Roanoke, Virginia. Second place, you'll be a finalist. That'll get you $2,000, 25 SCG points, an invite to that Season 2 Invitational in Roanoke. Top 4, top 8, they'll all qualify. Hopefully we'll see you there in December for that Season 2 Invitational. Top 16, still doing pretty good at 325. Top 32, 200. And if you are one of the 149 players that made day number 2, that's quite a few. The goal is to make top 64, so you can walk out of here with a little bit of money and some SCG points, $100 and 4 SCG points for you.
And a deep day 2 cut.
Oh yeah, this might be the deepest we've had since we've made this change last year. Just 149 players, 47 different archetypes. Modern really flexing its muscles here with diversity as usual. And as you mentioned, Eldrazi-tron, the most played deck here in day number 2 of competition, 17 copies of the 149 players. And you can find more about that metagame breakdown over at StarCityGames.com for those interested in the modern format, which we know so many of you are because our modern tournament turnouts have been fantastic all year long here on the SCG Tour. Grixis Death Shadow still very popular.
Yes.
No surprise there, 11 copies. In between the 2, Affinity at 13. Then you got Elves, maybe a bit of a surprise there. Perhaps this comes off of the back of Ross Merriam's top 8 in Richmond a couple of weeks ago. 11 copies in day number 2 of competition. A pretty potent deck is Elves, especially in those creature matchups, which we saw yesterday. If you don't have a lot of removal, you're going to have a hard time beating Elves.
Seems like a great deck to play against Eldrazi. Setting aside the presence of Chalice of the Void in some of those decks. And even then you have Caverns as a workaround.
Well, we do have an update here from Tom Ross's Twitter. That's boss_MTG for you wondering at home. It looks like he's being carried out with the help of Scott Steiner. He said he lost.
Yeah. And what I like about the 8-rack clips is it's not just Lex Luger putting people in the rack when he wins. it's Lex Luger also being helped out of the arena after losses.
Yeah.
I don't actually know how he has a set of photos that deep, because I've never seen him reuse them.
I wouldn't say that Tom has them. I would say that Lord Google does.
Sure.
Lord
There's still
Google.
a lot of photos of Lex Luger.
Lex Luger put a lot of people in the rack, man.
Yeah.
The good part is that you can find GIFs of Lex Luger. That's tough to do. He's having some difficulty getting his shirt off in this one.
He's just so muscular.
Yeah, he's a really big guy.
It's really hard for him to get his
Really
shirt
big
off.
guy. Lex Luger, just an American treasure, really.
Yeah. For those of you who are fans of Magic and 1990s pro wrestling,
Which we are.
which we are,
Yes.
it is a delight when he is playing 8-rack.
Absolutely it is. Looks like Scott's going to go down to 5 cards here. Not a great spot here for your ad nauseam player in what is a pretty favorable matchup. Doesn't mean he can't win.
See a little bit of frustration too here. Mulligan in game number 2, now 2 mulligans in game number 3 after a very straightforward cruise in game number 1.
I would call game number 1 easy mode.
Easy mode.
Didn't have to work too hard for that one at all. So Caleb waiting patiently, seeing if Scott can find opening. I remember Scott's going to be on the play here for game number 3. And if we have time to jump to another match, we will. And if not, we'll do a little metagame breakdown here for you. And we will, of course, talk about more Ixalan cards. If there's any specific ones you want us to talk about, jump in on that conversation. Hashtag SCG Tour. You can send them over at SCG Tour as well. Let us know what you want to hear about from Magic's newest set, as that pre-releases next weekend, and the release of Ixalan just 2 weeks away. An island here from Scott Hunt. It's a Serum Visions. No ley line to start. He will scry 1. Picked up a Mystical Teachings. Now he'll take a look at the top couple. It's Ad Nauseam and Simeon Spirit Guide, as he will consult the hand.
Those are 2 really nice cards to look at because it's a combo piece and mana. And, your hand's probably missing at least one of those things and maybe both.
Well, he's going to put one to the top, one to the bottom, so we'll find out soon enough what he kept. We go over to Caleb, who picked up a Baral to start the game. Now he's got a Serum Visions to complete his first turn. So he'll draw a card. Look, they pick up a copy of Pieces to the Puzzle. Manamorpho's going to stay on top. We're all going to go to the bottom, and we head over to Scott Hunt. He'll draw a card. Looks like he kept Ad Nauseam. And he'll play a land here in a swamp and simply pass the turn back over to Caleb. Caleb will draw a card. He found that Manamorphose that he kept on top. Another Spire Bluff Canal. Does he have a cost reducer in Brawl? He does. He'll play it, and he'll pass the turn back over to Scott. He could go off as soon as next turn, folks. Here's a Peer Through Depths for Scott Hunt. Top 5 cards for the Peer Through Depths. We'll take a look at that Kamigawa instant with Arcane. You ever splice a Glacial Red on that thing?
Into Peer?
Yeah, I hope so.
Probably.
Look at the top 5 cards of your library and reveal any instant or sorcery card from among them. Put in your hand, Resco on the bottom. And it's Arcane for you old school players out there. You know what that means. That means with Splice on Arcane, you can have a lot of fun with your Glacial Rays and your candles glow.
I put in some work in that draft format.
Me too, man. That's a good draft format.
I was more of an Order of the Sacred Bell man myself.
Oh, the old 4-mana 4/3?
Yeah.
Ring a ding dong?
Yeah, ring it in.
Yeah.
A humble Badoka.
Here comes Baral. Here's a Manamorphose. Caleb needs his little counters. He's looking to go off. I think I've heard maybe our good friend Order of the Sacred Bell might be looking to make an appearance on screen here for you.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
9th edition, get out of here.
That's white bordered 9th edition garbage right there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think the Kamigawa version has a much longer story to tell, too. But you like a little 4-mana 4/3 human monk, huh?
I'll just get in on people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Humble Badoka was a pretty bad card,
Oh,
man.
yeah. That one was not good.
That card was pretty bad.
That one was legitimately not good. What is really good to do with your 2/2s for 2? Not be able to cast pump spells
There
on
you
them.
go. Can't be the target of spells or abilities. Nice. The original hexproof beatdowns.
Right.
Not even hexproof, Shroud.
Right,
You
yeah.
can't touch it.
Yeah. Oh, did you play a 2/2 first striker?
That's
All right,
game.
That's game.
Kitsune Blade Master. All right, I can't do anything with this anymore.
2/3?
Yeah, also game.
That's game.
Pieces to the puzzle here for Caleb. He's going to find a wipe away.
And keep in mind, Hunt, without white mana, so that, his copy of Angel's Grace
Can't do it right now.
doesn't save him.
Wipe away and pieces of the puzzle is what Caleb found.
Needs a darkness.
Old darkness, my old friend. Looks like he's going to go towards Electromancer here, maybe set up again for next turn. Yeah. That's spell 4.
I did a draft many years ago, Time Spiral, with coverage and writing legend Josh Bennett.
Oh, yes.
And he had his curve of his deck laid out, and he had a darkness, which was time shifted. And I asked him, what's up with darkness? And his response was, it's spreading.
A perfect answer.
Can't argue with that.
A actual perfect answer.
It's spreading.
Another pieces to the puzzle here for Caleb. Looks like he's going to take an Empty the Warrens and a Serum Visions. And he's already found the Wipe Away again. Excuse me, it's actually going to take the Manamorphose, not the Empty. And now we go over to Scott, who picked up a copy of Angel's Grace, but again, I don't think, he can.
Oh, okay.
He's got a Gemstone Mine. It's going to get 3 mining counters, so he does have white mana. All right. Pass the turn back. We're going to go over to Caleb, who's picked up a Desperate Ritual. Here come the beatdowns for 3. 2 cost reducer, something you typically don't see Storm have on the battlefield, which means everything's going to be easy to do. So here's Serum Visions to start. Caleb will draw a card. He's found another Desperate Ritual. A couple of cards here in Grape Shot and Steam Vents.
So, something I've noticed about Hunt's build here, and I think this was probably the cut to make room for White Leyline, but it has really harmed him in this matchup or these set of games, is the absence of Pentap Prism. It's just been really hard for him to get to 6 or more mana by the 4th turn of the game unless Lotus Bloom's involved.
Gotcha.
And that's something that's really critical about Pentap Prism is that jump from 3 to 5 that you get, or 4 to 6. Those are critical flashpoints for this deck being able to go off. And instead, cobbling together enough mana has been a real problem.
And you got to remember that jump that you get from Pentad Prism, it's not permanent, but you don't need it for this deck.
Right, and maybe, if you're in a position where you're thinking, all right, all these people are playing with discard spells. There's a lot of Abrupt Decays, a lot of Kolaghan's commands, and Pentad Prism is just not reliable. I respect that. I could see myself getting to that point building this deck. But in this kind of matchup, which is just a race, it's been noticeable Hunt not being able to get to the requisite amount of mana.
Caleb's going to get back out his mana counters and that Storm counter. And we're going to go to Manamorphose now. So, 2 blue, 2 red for our Storm player. He'll draw a card, picked up that Grape Shot. And now here's another Desperate Ritual. Storm count of 4. Electromancer. It's going to make it Storm count of 5. That's good. Wipe Away, perhaps. Now, one of the things about Wipe Away, a card we'll take a look at here, too. It's one of in Caleb's sideboard. You might not be familiar with all those split-second cards from back in the day. But Wipe Away, it can return target permanent to its owner's hand. That's any permanent. Now, if you target a land, they can still tap it for mana, and it's important to note. And I'm curious if Caleb's play here is going to be Wipe Away, target your Gemstone Mine.
And then force the hand on, he either casts Angel's Grace right now, and you go next turn. Or
you just go this turn and you say, I'll put you to 1.
Sure.
And just try to attack you and kill you. That's an option here.
And with Hunt here not doing anything and not generating extra mana, Boomerang on a land.
It's actually pretty good.
Just might be time walking here too.
He's just trying to figure out what he wants to target here. Darkslick Shores is somewhat attractive because
on the way back,
it'll enter the battlefield tapped on the way back.
Right.
So that's spell 6. So this will be spell 7. Scott did float a blue off the Darkslick Shores. So here is spell 7, I believe, for Caleb. Gonna grape shot you real good. And now I'm gonna grape shot you real good.
And if he's able to force the issue on Angel's Grace in this spot, Hunt does not have the mana left over to play Mystical Teachings 2. which is really great.
So this is actually going to bring Scott down exactly to 1 and not to less than 1. So that means he's actually going to get to be able to keep the Angel's Grace for next turn.
And that's a huge win, too, if he's able to use this mana now on Mystical Teachings
It
rather
is.
than having to play his Angel's Grace.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and he's brought in the Supreme Verdict. He doesn't have double white.
Can't search for Supreme Verdict
Anyway,
with Teachings, yeah. He can search for another copy of Angel's Grace.
Noteworthy that he has brought in Supreme Verdict.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, with how he lost game 2, I'm not too surprised.
Right.
Just losing to the Goblins. Don't like that feeling.
I would make it a holy day. There's no aggression. It's been declared.
Let's just all enjoy the holy day.
It's a holy day.
Yeah. We're going to go back over to Scott Hunt now.
It's excruciating. You know, he could really use some extra mana. And if he has to tap the Gemstone Mine twice, casting Angel's Grace, then he's down a mana.
Yeah, which stinks.
But fortunately, now with the Temple of Silence here, he can Angel's Grace off of the Gemstone Mine once. Then the next turn he can tap the Temple and maybe get to his turn with enough mana to go off.
He's really getting his grind on here to try to win this one.
Caleb getting him to exactly 1 is really painful.
That's rough.
I mean, you not doing all that and not squeezing out the Angel's Grace, that's tough.
Strategic planning. It's going to get Caleb a sleight of hand. So he'll play sleight of hand. Another sleight of hand on Pyretic Ritual. Well, let's keep chaining them. And another one. That's my best DJ Khaled that I can do.
I do like the inspirational tape.
Thank you. What is this, Pass in Flames? You can use that a little later. All right, pass it over.
You smart.
Yep. It's another Angel's Grace. Now this is going to be a weird game.
Yeah, I mean, all of these are worth a full turn. So
Yeah.
then it's just, I mean, I think if he's able to get to next turn
if he finds a land?
Or Simian Spirit Guide, he's just good.
How many Angel's Grace does he have in his hand? He's got 3 in his hand?
Yeah, I think he's got, I mean, this is several turns worth.
So if he finds a land, he can win?
Yeah, these Angel Graces, I mean, they're, like I said, this would be a legit sideboard card against Storm for various decks. And just having it as part of your combo is worth so much.
So it's weird here. If I'm Caleb, boy, this is tough. I want to Pass in Flames, and I want to cast a Wipe Away on a land.
Yeah, you just want to wipe away a land.
But I only know that I want to do that because I'm watching this game from here.
But also, you just know the flashpoints for the amount of mana that he needs.
Which is 6. Yeah. All right, pieces to the puzzle. Strategic planning, Steam Vents, Desperate Ritual, Pyretic Ritual, and Goblins.
I'm assuming that Caleb here is not at risk of getting decked. I mean, he's looked at a lot of cards here, but that shouldn't be a factor.
Nah, I'd be surprised. See what we got here. Because all the grape shotting in the world is not going to do anything for you.
Right, I just don't know if he has any really relevant cards to find at this point.
Yeah,
I mean,
not sure.
He's just got to weather the storm of Angel's Graces and then roll across the finish line.
Shattering Spree ain't going to do it. He'll take a Spree and a Pass in Flames because those are the best options.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, sure.
And now here's Manamorphose. Caleb will have some mana floating from that. Yeah, I'm really interested to see if he's going to wipe away or not. Because he's not building a storm towards anything.
I don't know what else he's doing this, unless he wants to keep the wipe away in reserve for some random permanent that shows up. But I just don't even know what that would be.
Aha.
Okay.
Swan Song.
It's a big one.
That's a huge find. And we'll take a look at Swan Song. Because that one is one that Caleb could actually use now to win this. Counter target enchantment, instant, or sorcery. Its controller puts a 2/2 bird creature token with flying on the battlefield. That can counter the ad nauseum.
Yeah, that's big.
So long as Caleb leaves a blue mana open. So here's Manamorphose. He's going to go up to triple blue, and I think he's actually starting to realize maybe the wipe away thing here. Yep. He's going to wipe away Darkslick Shores. I like this play a lot.
Yep. Enters the battlefield tapped, no scry involved. I mean, there is an argument for going after the temple instead to, if he Angel's Graces again, he's out of his gemstone mine.
Sure.
And you might get kind of 2 stone rains that way. This is a much safer line, though.
Caleb's going to play Steam Vents untapped. He'll take 2, more than happy to. Got a lot of cards in his hand now, does Caleb. I'm not sure where he's going now. Just to empty?
Just whatever. Yeah, I mean, get some more stuff on the battlefield.
All right, sure. Let's flood the battlefield with some goblins. Looks like 18 of them. Sure. Scott's found a copy of Phyrexian Unlife. And he's going to play that.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of the argument for bouncing the temple instead, is he's a little squeezed on white mana.
Now Caleb is actually going to counter that. Oh, now this gets interesting now. This gets interesting now. Well, this is the squeeze, though, on the white mana that you mentioned, because now this Angel's Grace is going to have to be cast off of the Gemstone Mine.
And he's just behind another turn worth of mana.
Ah, the Derek Sheets Swan Song token. We don't see that one much.
It's rare.
Here come the Knuckleheads. And here comes Angel's Grace. That land is gone.
This is the last call to register for our 2 p.m. standard challenge. If you'd like to place standard,
Caleb wants to see what's in the graveyard. How many Angel Graces have you cast? 3? And if I'm Caleb, I don't really have a reason to really play anything. I'm not searching for anything.
Yeah, I would want to leave. I would basically want to leave whatever I need to leave in reserve to make sure that if Scott has some random sweeper that I can rebuild, and otherwise there's not a whole lot of value in casting anything.
The draw here was a Phyrexian Unlife. I'm not sure that'll save him, so he's just going to pass the turn back. We're going to go over to Caleb. I promise he'll attack with everything. How about another Angel's Grace? All right. That's the 4th one of those. No more of those left.
Should crap back with the Swan.
Yeah.
If you're gonna just Angel's Grace anyway. Just missed out on 2 points.
You can never miss your damage, can you?
No.
I think Scott may have just drawn a fetch. It was actually a Phyrexian Unlife. Okay. There is Polluted Delta, pass the turn back. Caleb's going to very quickly untap. We'll see him attack with everything here in just a moment. And actually what he's going to want to do here, and he knows this.
Scrape shot for 1.
Yep.
And then the attack will finish things off.
So here's a couple of rituals. Recast Past in Flames, Grape Shot you, get you to 0, and then finish you off with the Infect damage. And that's exactly what Caleb Scherer is going to do. He's going to win this match over Scott Hunt 2-1. Blue-Red Gift Storm is going to take care of Ad Nauseam for Caleb. I'll tell you what, he dodged a bullet here because, as we saw in game number 1, this matchup does not look to be particularly good for him, but some untimely mulligans here for Scott Hunt.